Plain Jane and this whole RuPaul's Drag Race Bob the Drag Queen beef. First of all, I want to say thank you all of you who have been continuously watching that. We got a beef going on between Drag Race girls. You know, I had to do that line again because that's how it starts off in the old video on my TikTok. That video still is blowing up. People are still liking it. People are still sharing it. People are still commenting on it about the whole Drag Race, you know, Plain Jane drama. So we talked about back in January of this year how apparently Bob in season 6, top 3 finalist, Plain Jane, apparently was going back and forth. Now, it all started back in January when Bob was, I think he was doing sibling rivalry. And I guess he started making, he and Monet was sitting there having a conversation talking about the whole Burger Finger performance or whatever. And Bob threw some shade at the whole situation because he was criticizing the talent show number. And I guess Plain Jane didn't like what Bob said. Well, honey, welcome to the world of entertainment because people are going to just be talking. Hold on, because I was like, I want to pull up this picture, chill. So I was like, you know, at the end of the day, people are going to be talking about you, whether you want it to or not. Like, people are going to be critical of you. People are going to have their opinions. People are going to say what they're going to say about you. And just grow a thick skin and move on. And I know a lot of y'all, you know, a lot of the queens are like, but you know what? You've been through this. You've been through the trenches. You know, the ringer that we all have to go through because you've been there, done that, wore the t-shirt. And so you should give us some grace. And I feel like on one hand, yeah, but on the other hand, Drag Race girls who have been through the whole situation shouldn't have to be exempt from cultural, criticizing or giving an opinion on a performance that they felt like, okay, number one, it wasn't as funny as you thought it was, and it wasn't as clever. And then number two, it's just like, okay, like this is derivative, and now it's getting to a point where because RuPaul has stated, and because Michelle go and do whatever that Ru says, because that's her bestie, and he gives her many opportunities in regards to this whole entertainment career situation and being a part of Drag Race, because that's his bestie, that you can't be critical, and they like stupid shit and stupid things and things that is just stupid for no reason. Rue laughs at, and a lot of the girls feel like they know. They try to get in there. They try to be a little too smart for their own good and try to be like, yeah. So what is a way that I can really get Rue to like my routine? Oh, I'll come up with something. Well, I'll come up with these big Jimbo-sized boobs, a big old burger, having grease coming down my hands, and I'll squirt mayo and ketchup and mustard on my fake titties, and Rue will laugh at it. Well, just because Rue finds it funny doesn't necessarily mean everybody else has to find it funny, and that's just the way the things work. So Plain went on the Give It To Me Straight podcast with Maddy Morphosis, which is her podcast, a couple of days ago. I don't know if you saw it, but I do have the clip of Maddy talking about it. Please hold.
Did Bob influence
Oh my
your
God.
drag?
Wait. Okay. So this is a story that I have never gone on record with, but it's actually quite fascinating. So when I was maybe 19 years old, this was like around, or maybe 18, 19, around the time where I was like getting a little bit more comfortable with myself and my sexuality.
It's like right when you went to New York.
Exactly. Yes. I visited my friend on like during a break at school. I visited a friend in Chicago, one of my close girlfriends who I came out to, and we decided to go to the season 8 tour. They were touring Chicago, so we got tickets to see the tour. We went, and I remember Bob was like walking around with a microphone, and he was handing out signed postcards of Chi Chi DeVayne, and he was like, "We're doing trivia. Whoever answers this question right will get the signed postcard of Chi Chi." God rest her soul, by the way. Fabulous queen, love her. Anyways, he was like,
"Oh God, please hold." But why are you playing an ad in the middle of this?
Walking around, and I was sitting in my little booth, and he was like, "What is the song that that Chi Chi sent Naisha Lopez home to," or something like that? And I like raised my hand tentatively. He was like, "You, 18-year-old Jewish kid, right here, like clocked it, because I'm sure he's many of us. Miss Cracker, hello. But anyway, so he like put the microphone in my face, and I said, "Call Me" by Blondie. In my best like Maddy Morphosis impersonation character voice.
Yeah.
And
because you hadn't even soft launched by then.
Exactly. So he was like, yeah, here you go. Moved on to the next question. And that's in that small, tiny little interaction, I was like, something in me, I was like, I never want to be on the receiving end of that ever again. I will never be looked at by this as if I'm like a prop, an audience member, a nothing. Because I saw in Bob's eyes in that moment that he felt that he was the star and that I was just, you know, a little moment. And I said, no, honey, I am the star, and I will one day I will be holding that mic, and somebody else will be answering the trivia question and getting the signed postcard of Chi Chi DeVane.
With that story in mind and the way Bob made you feel in that moment.
Yeah, like nothing. A nothing.
Would you say that had something to do with the recent feelings you expressed towards Bob?
No, it honestly didn't. That had more to do with her being a about Burger Finger.
So with that in mind, was it about Burger Finger, or was it something more? Like what was it to you? Because like,
okay,
as much as we all agree that Burger Finger is the smash hit of the century,
absolutely,
it was a lot of feelings for Burger.
I see what you mean. I just feel like Bob had a lot of feelings for Burger. So the many feelings that Bob had were reciprocated with, quite frankly, less feelings. You know, because I didn't say as much as I could have, but I'll do so now. I feel like Bob dwelled on it a little bit too long. And I honestly feel like it's not just Bob. A few alumni girls just didn't get it, which is fine. But they just they went on these like tirades about how it was so unoriginal and everyone's trying to be stupid now. And it was just so it like mimicked the opinions of like hating ass bitches, like hating ass fans. Just say you don't like it, say you don't find it funny and move on. Like,
yeah.
Don't like go on these like tirades like mimicking the opinions of like dumb fans who like don't know shit about shit and like say that I'm being inauthentic because I did a dumb number that had to do with food, which has been done only a few times, mind you, in the scope of Drag Race. You know what's been done more times? Any fucking other original song about nothing except for like I'm so yay. Like,
damn, now you come from Mirage too. She's catching strays.
Her
down the street.
At least her song was amazing, and Mirage's talent Mirage's talent wasn't necessarily the song; it was her performance. So you know, Mirage is sickening, but you know.
So you feel like Bob's comments about the song, it was less of an opinion about the song and more of like an attack on like your
literally very that, and I felt like it was like unwarranted, and I feel like it was a very strong opinion for like an alumni of the franchise who had done this show before and like knows the whole like you know, rigmarole of it or whatever, and how like the fans can treat you thereafter. I just thought it was a little bit annoying and honestly like irresponsible, if I do say so myself. And Burger Finger, you know, as I totally know that it's like an idiotic, dumb, like ketchup stain on a t-shirt, on a white t-shirt equivalent of a song, but there was effort behind that. There was effort and thought behind that, you know, regardless of what people want to say. So
all right, so y'all pretty much got the gist of what they had to say, and then she went on to explain the meaning behind Burger Finger saying that it was a double entendre and that it basically is like, you know how when you eat a burger, a fat, juicy, greasy burger, and then the juice gets all down your fingers, and then it has like this bizarre smell. It's the same way when you start, you know, having sexual relations with a man and you get all up in that pussy and that sort of thing, and you get the juice on your fingers and it leaves that smell. So there was a double entendre with the thing. I, in my opinion, did not find the song to be entertaining. Now, I will say this: I did love her finale's song that they put together, and she lip synced the performance. I did love that performance. Her finale performance was sickening. I will say this also: I did not like Plain. Y'all know I not particularly care for Plain Jane during the early episodes of season 16, but like a little nasty fungus you can't get rid of. The bitch grew on me. And I was living for her throughout the show. And then, you know, she got her little arc where she got to show human side, you know, her emotional side. But then also she got to, um, you know, I think what hurt her is that she was playing too much in the funny and she wasn't willing to be vulnerable, which is, I guess, what Rue wants. It's like, he don't mind you being silly and, you know, you can entertain him till the cows come home with the silliness, but he also wants to see that you could show a little vulnerability. And I think towards the end, maybe she choked and she just didn't feel like, you know, she was, I'm not going to win. I can't really, I don't stand a chance against Nymphia or my girl Saphira. So that's probably how she felt. But in regards to the whole thing with Bob, it's like, you know what, Bob has the right to feel how she feels and give constructive criticism in regards to, you know, the queens of the show. She doesn't just talk about Plain Jane. She talks about a lot of the other queens on the show. And as someone who has been in the pocket of the series, that's why I love not only sibling rivalry, but I also love watching Race Chasers with Alaska and Willem, because they deep dive into the show and they talk about the queens and they give their opinions on certain things. And they talk about the show, which I think the one that pretty much doesn't like the fact that, because you know Willem and our history with the show. But anyway, you have to know that if you're going to be in this business, regardless if it's your peers or other people or the fans, everyone's going to have an opinion, whether harsh or not as harsh. And unfortunately, that's just the name of the game. Now, in regards of what happened in the beginning of our career, it's like, yeah, when you are a person with that microphone and you holding court, you are the court jester on that stage in your drag regalia, and you having to entertain a bunch of drunk ass patrons in, you know, a club or a bar setting, wherever the hell y'all was, where you said you was with the whole trivia thing. Just know that a lot of times when it comes to that type of humor, there are people who are comic drag queen comedians like Bob the drag queen, and she does, you know, she has done stand-up, she has done comedy type stuff. I mean, she's running, you know, she is the person who's emceeing Madonna's current tour, which is about to kick off this weekend in Brazil. So, you know, she is the jester that has to keep the show going and stuff. And as a person who has the mic and is on the stage, yeah, sometimes you're going to be the casualty to a joke, or people are going to say certain things where they're going to, you know, make a little snide comment, whatever the case is. Just brush it off your shoulder, take it on the chin, and keep it moving. I feel like a lot of people are too damn sensitive. Oh, you hurt my feelings. But that's the name of the game. This is the way drag has always been, and drag performance, as long as I've been going to the clubs. And this is long before Drag Race was even on TV. I was going to bars and clubs and watching drag queens. My first drag queen comedian that I'm good friends with to this day, that I remember seeing for the first time, was when I went to Esquilita and I came across Harmonica Sunbeam, and she was holding court up in there and telling the jokes, and reading the audience, and, you know, doing her stand-up bit and all this other stuff, and had the gays dying. And that was like a lot of the ballroom kids, a lot of, you know, a lot, and even like a lot of the, you know, you had the AG lesbians up in there, which they call them studs now, or you had a lot of the butch queens, and you had the femme queens and the trans women and the drag queen. Like, you had all the different urban Latin black, you know, and people in this from the community, the Banji boys, as they call them now. Well, you know, you got the homo thug types. I don't know, what do they call you know, gay boys who kind of give like that whole Banji look. I don't know what the term is now. Like, I can't keep up. We used to call them Banji boy, Banji, or, you know, or we used to call them butch, or we still kind of call them butch queens or whatever. But anyway, so I'll say all this to say, I get where you're coming from, playing, and whatever the case is, but maybe what you need to do is you need to figure out and have a conversation with Bob to figure out what the tea is and why he's, I guess, since you feel that he has a strong disdain for you and he's been coming for you harder than all the other girls from Drag Race, that why they feel the way they feel. And who knows? I'm sure after this video, what's going to happen is either Bob will address it on social media. He's probably not thinking about that right now because he's busy in Rio with Madonna. So, we'll find. I guess what we have to do is we're going to have to find out how he feels about this situation, and he'll probably address it on an episode of Sibling Rivalry or when he's able to get back on his phone because who knows how the internet is working out there in Rio. Um, He'll address it one way or another. So if you guys have not seen that episode of Give It to Me Straight, definitely check it out on YouTube.